What do you think? So I've decided, at least for now, to use Robtoria as a kind of overall name for the blog, since it's something I've kind of used for a while in a variety of things. And I figured that it's a random blog about a whole bunch of different stuff, and I'm kind of a random-minded person, so it would be a perfect fit. We'll use it for now. If people like it, I'll keep it, and if not, maybe I'll come up with something else. All right, to start off this series of blogs, I'm going to talk about European-style board games. The four games that I will mention here have all won the coveted Spears de Jargle, which is the German board game of the year. And European-style board games have become quite popular in the last 15 years or so. They are quite different than, say, their North American cousins or other games available. They really focus on strategy. Resource management and placement of tiles or workers are also very indicative of them. The strategy of how you place them is super important. Luck is definitely downplayed in them. And the four games here, which are kind of like your gateway to European board games, only one of them uses dice at all. These games are generally medium kind of length. They go for 45 minutes to maybe an hour and a bit, maybe an hour and 15 minutes at the most. Another thing very indicative of European style board games is that expansions are available to them, and these expansions really revitalize the game. So if you play it a whole bunch, you can throw in a new expansion, and it kind of almost makes it like a new board game for a lot less price than having to buy a brand new one, or you can play it the old way, so you can kind of go back and forth depending on how good the players are or how comfortable they are with the game. And that's one of the really nice things about them. Also, these games are really nicely done. They always have beautiful artwork. The pieces are normally high quality. Box storage is really good at them, so your pieces aren't flying around everywhere. It's not like Monopoly, where there's always going to be missing like dozens of the money's all crazy everywhere. These four are really gateway because they're simple to learn, they're readily available for people, and they really give you a feel for what these games are like. So without further ado, let's get into the four games I'm going to mention. And the first is probably the most classic of them all. It is Settlers of Catan. I've been playing Settlers of Catan for over 10 years now, so I've played probably at least 100 games or more of it. In Catan, you are colonizing an area. This area has a variety of resources, and each resource has a number assigned to it. When you place your buildings on these resources, they can be collected when that number is rolled by the dice. Catan is only one of these four games to have a dice in it and have that high level of luck factor that dice brings. These resources can be used to build more buildings, to collect cards, and in turn these buildings will give you points. A person who reaches 10 points at the end traditionally is the winner. Also in this game there's trading, so you're allowed to trade resources with other players. Catan is really uniquely European style in that it's resource management, it's building or worker placement, if you want to call it that, and it's the whole idea of most victory points at the end kind of is the winner. Catan normally runs you about maybe $50 or so, and there's a number of expansions available and super easy to get. Most toy stores, Toys R Us, Walmart, Target, chapters for those in Canada. Most of these money that I'm talking about will be in Canadian funds, since that's what I am familiar with. The next one on the list is Carcassonne, and it's almost as well known. It has been around for over 10 years as well, and it's certainly one of the uniquely European style and definitely deserves to be on the list of one of the gateway games to it. In Carcassonne, which is a city in France, or an area in France, you draw tiles from the pile. The tile will have something on it. So it may have a road on it, it may have a city on it, it may have a cloister, which is a church or a monastery on it. You then place that tile on the board to match up the cities or the roads. You have little meeples, which are like little wooden guys that you place on, and they will get you points. So if you have most meeples inside a city, that will give you the points for that city when that city is completed and all the walls are closed up. At the end of the game, whoever has the most points is declared the winner. There's no trading in this. There's no dice in this game. Carcassonne is definitely European style because, again, you're placing tiles down, you are placing workers down, you're forming strategy as to where they go and how best to get your points for doing it. And like all these games, most points at the end is declared the winner. The third one, the third gateway, if you will, if you think of it as like a fort, north, south, east, and west, these are your access points to the fort, is Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride has sold, I believe, over 10 million copies worldwide, incredibly popular. The initial game was just a map of the United States, however, and Canada. However, it's expanded to be European versions and Nordic versions, and yeah, there's versions for the Asia, I believe. In Ticket to Ride, you're trying to set up train routes. You collect tickets or colors to match the route you're trying to set up. Once you have them, you can place your trains down. By doing that, you collect points. However, you also have missions in this game, and those missions may get you more points if you can complete them, or lose you points if you can't. So maybe your mission is to set up a train route from Vancouver to Dallas, Texas. If you complete that, you may get 10 extra points. Those points are added up at the end of the game. As all the cases, whoever has the most points at the end of the game is declared a winner. This game also, no dice and no trading, but it's very European style again because you are forming your strategy by where you're placing things. You're looking at what other people are trying to do, looking maybe to block them or to work around them. You're collecting resources, placing them down. Uniquely European again, and very much you get the feel for how those games flow if you have played it a lot. Last and certainly not least is Alhambra. Alhambra is relatively new to my collection. I've only had it for a couple months, but maybe even a month and a half now. It's kind of something from this Christmas season, but it's an excellent game and definitely worthy to kind of finish off our 4 posts or 4 gateways here of European gaming. In it, you are building an Alhambra, which essentially is kind of like a city in Spain. Different workers from around the world have come, and they're going to build buildings for you. They're going to build towers or arcades or gardens, and they want to be paid in the currency of their particular area. So what you do is you draw currency from the bank. You think of it as like taking it out of like the royal coffers, and you pay them in that currency. You then collect the buildings and you put them around your fountain. Points are scored by having the most type of one building or having the longest consecutive walls, as some of them have. Pieces have little black walls on them. Pieces must kind of match up, kind of like they do in Catan, or like they do in Carcassonne, so walls can't connect with where no walls are. Scoring is done kind of in middle points of the game and also at the end of the game as well. No dice again, no trading with people, but the strategy and how you interact with people is you look to see what kind of tiles people are focusing on, and then in turn try to focus on something different, or maybe you can compete with those people. Again, I've said this over, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's very European, very Germanic style, is that it's got resource collection, tile placement, and strategy as to where they go and to what other people are doing. These 4 games, definitely European style. Carcassonne is relatively cheap. It only is maybe $29 to $39. Ticket to Ride is probably the most expensive of the 3. It goes up to, or the 4, it goes up to maybe even to the 60 to 70, maybe even 80, depending on where you buy it from. And Alhambra is more in like the, I believe it's $49.99 Canadian in most places. Very European because of their resource management and worker placement and collecting victory points to be the winner at the end, and downplaying the luck, and also downplaying war too. These are all economic kind of development games. They're not military fighting games. Try these out if you're interested in board games, interested in kind of these European style no dice games. If you like these 4 already, maybe played them a lot, if you're looking for something new, I would recommend a few games like Puerto Rico or Agricola, or even something a little bit different, but almost European in style in its manner in Dominion. Those 4 games. The first 2 are quite long. They're going to run you over an hour, probably more like 2 or 2 and a bit. But Dominion is a very short, very fast, easy game to learn. All right, well, that was my very first blog. Next week, we will be looking at Harry Potter and the J.K. Rowling's use of Latin, how Latin's kind of woven in the book to help tell the story and to give the reader kind of a sense of what's going on in the world. All right, well, everyone have a great week, and we will see you next week. All right, bye.